Excellent, excellent. So welcome everyone. It's a pleasure to have you join us today. My name is Charles Mackay, and I am the Program and Events Coordinator here at the Northern Ontario Black Economic Empowerment Program. Welcome once again to our Opportunities in the Trades webinar. And before I proceed, I would like to acknowledge the fact that I am broadcasting here as host from the traditional lands of the Atikomashane and Anishinaabe, which is a Whitefish First Nation right here in Sudbury. For rules of engagement, if you would like to ask a question, you can either type the question in the chat box and I will read it out for you, or you can just raise your hand and I will unmute you. A copy of this recording will be available on our YouTube channel and on our website, nobu.ca, shortly after the end of the webinar. Today's a very special day. It's a very special day for the trades. We've got Sudbury's very own Anthony Davis and also Bayode Geogeu. And I'll get you to just introduce yourselves before we jump into the meat and bones of things. So Anthony, I will start with you. Tell us who you are,
Sure.
what you do, and then just take it from there.
Sure. Yeah. So my name is Anthony Davis. I'm the owner of Greater Sudbury Plumbing and HVAC, also the owner of Sudbury Foundation Excavation. A lot of volunteering in the city, been around, born and raised in Sudbury, spent some time in Alberta, lived there for about 7 years, came back, went to post-secondary here in Sudbury, both Cambrian and LU, got into commerce. And then from there started getting my hands dirty in the trades and really learned the economic and power it can have and the ability it has to impact people's lives positively. Also active volunteering with the Chamber of Commerce, so I'm the past chair there, and a bunch of other community associations here in the city of Sudbury.
Wonderful. Thank you kindly. Anthony, Bio, take it.
Hello everyone, my name is Bayode Geogeu. I'm currently a maintenance planner and I moved to the Greater Sudbury community a few years ago, I want to say in 2013, to pursue a career in trades as a millwright, and became a journey person. Worked in a series of industry, accumulated a bunch of experience, and I'm currently I'm co-founder of Afrofest Sudbury, that's been active since 2018, which is a cultural arts and culture events here at Sudbury.
Excellent, excellent. All right, now we're just going to head straight into question one. So, gentlemen, and I'll start with you, Anthony. I'll let you answer this first in the Bio. You can take it. What pathway, Anthony, led you to your current position?
Thanks, Charles. So that's a great question. So we were talking briefly just before we started, and I was letting everyone know that I actually graduated post-secondary here in Sudbury as a commerce grad. So I did Cambrian College, Business Administration, transferred to Laurentian University, got my HB.Com. So people are shocked to see, what do you mean you have a commerce degree? Like you own a plumbing and HVAC company. How do they correlate? Well, how they correlate is with a commerce degree, it teaches you how to lead, how to work in groups, how to scale a company, which is why I think Greater Sudbury Plumbing and HVAC has done so well, so quickly. We've managed to scale the company relatively quickly and had great success through, and how I measure success is how I can positively impact the community. So not just by helping others with their trades issues, but also, being able to go to fundraisers and support the Christmas telethon every year. A portion of our sales goes to that. So being able to positively impact the community is how I measure the level of success we have. And the pathway was unique because right out of university, I started my own company, startup strategy. So I was doing business plans and marketing plans for businesses. And then from there, I started analyzing different industries. And one of the industries I started analyzing were trade industries, whether it's electrical, plumbing, HVAC, whatever it may be. And then from analyzing those industries, I found that the trades is an amazing opportunity to have a low-cost way to get a very well-paying job for technicians, but also the supply and demand, the basic economics of business. The supply of tradespeople is going down and the demand for us is going up. So jumped right into it, 2 feet deep, and here we are.
Excellent, excellent. Bio, how about you?
Oh, thanks, Charles. That's a very interesting question. Mine is elaborate because as a young chap, I've always been mechanically inclined, breaking things, fixing them, started with little toys as a kid. And that curiosity for how mechanical components go together was what gravitated me to more science related subjects through high school and through secondary, elementary, and primary school until university, where I happened to major in mechanical engineering. Graduated that in Nigeria, and was hoping I could get more experience and pursue more education, and explore the engineering world. I took on an opportunity to go to continue education here in Canada. And like I mentioned earlier, I started off with a welding trade. I've always been someone who's hands-on. I like tinkering with stuff. So welding stood out for me. Plus, with the mentor, my father, he kind of guided that whole process. So went through schooling for welding, worked briefly with the fabrication company, building signs and structures and steel structures. And I wanted to go to school. If you're from where I'm from in Nigeria, we're all about school and getting more knowledge and experience. So I took on the millwright trades here at Kimbrin College, Sudbury, which I think was one of the best things I ever did, because it made me comprehend my engineering degree. I know some people would rather go the other way and go through college and then go to university, but I'm thankful that I did. My path was in reverse like that, because it made me appreciate all the knowledge that I accumulated over the course of my undergraduate degree, and also comprehend all I've done for education so far. That being said, I went through my apprenticeship working for a fabrication shop here in Sudbury, actually. The apprenticeship process could be a little tough and daunting, but we'll get to that. I guess there's questions that will allow me to delve more into that. But so far, going through the millwright program has opened up a lot of opportunities, and through that, I've been able to grow my career, and now landed a job as a maintenance planner at Sudbury Integrated Nickel Operations, Glencore.
Excellent, excellent. Now that's those are two very different pathways to where you guys are, and again, kudos to you for, I guess, identifying what you wanted to do and just going straight on, head on into it. Next question. Next question is that in light of the aging workforce in the trades, like, how pressing is it for the need of new talent, and what steps do you know that have been taken to address the impending skills gap?
Did you want me to start, Charles, again?
Yes, you can start, I think.
Sure. Okay, so obviously the aging workforce in the trades is a huge issue, because we have all these goals. The provincial government has a lot of goals. We're going to build X amount of houses in the next 2, 3, 4, 5 years, and high demand. Housing prices are high, rent prices are high, and the only way to get those prices back down is build more. And how do we build more? Well, people need to build them. So the goals, they set these high goals, and they just expect it to happen. But with our workforce depleting, negative to our workforce, the people necessary to build these homes, or commercial property, or industrial space, or the restaurants, or the facilities that we require for our everyday life, it's putting this huge amount of pressure on the new and up and coming kids coming up in the field. We're also losing that education piece of people leaving with the knowledge they have, new people coming and not having the opportunity to be taught by the people leaving. Now gives this huge gap of, do they even know what they're doing, right? So once they're gone, it's gone, right? It's gone. So huge issue, and high in demand, because the supply of the people able to do the jobs is going down, and the demand of what's required by us is going up. But so some of the opportunities, or some of the stuff that's being done to help address this skills gap, and obviously it's get more people, and we have two ways of doing it. And here in Sudbury, the Northern Ontario pilot program, so bringing in people from other countries that have the skill set we need. That's one way that we're doing it. It's working well. Another is OYAP, so Ontario Youth Apprenticeship Program. So getting young people interested in the trades needs to happen. Before, it was always go to university and, you know, and be a lawyer or whatever the case may be. And don't get me wrong, those are important jobs that we need. But now we've pushed that so hard, you've pushed people out of the trades, because the trades was the hard, dirty, low-paying stuff. Well, I'm here to tell you that the trades are, technology has made it not as hard. And in terms of pay, no university debt and a high starting salary and a very quick road to making substantial great salary. So the youth apprenticeship program, getting young people interested in the trades, summer company grants. So the government's seeing this need now, a little bit late, but they're seeing this need and they're trying to put money at it to incorporate some youth into the field, which I've been seeing in my business has been working well. You know, interns, co-ops, you know, that type of stuff, even just word of mouth. Hey, I know I'm leaving my job at the bank and I've heard being the trades is where I want to be. And sometimes their starting wage is more than what they were making at the bank here, because I'm just in such dire needs of good, young, independent people that are willing to learn and be smart and observant. So it's definitely high demand. And I feel that we're on the right path to solving the skills gap, but there's still a lot of work that needs to get done.
Fair point.
Thanks for that question, Charles. And I'm just gonna second what Anthony has just elaborated right now. It's true that there's a huge aging gap when it comes to the trades. And one example of that, being on the tools for so long, is there's a huge age gap between even myself, with a certain amount of years of experience, and my predecessors. When I started my apprenticeship, I think my foreman, I think I started when I was just a little over 25. My foreman was 40. So that alone, you could tell that there's a huge gap. Now, Anthony mentioned the point about the fact that the people with the knowledge and the trades that are aging, they're taking that knowledge and they're leaving with it. They don't have enough time to mentor the young ones who are coming up into the trades, you know, to pass on those valuable knowledge that will make them succeed in a trade. Now, don't get me wrong, it's a fine line between valuable knowledge and I'm trying to pull it politically right and not sound too much like a tradesman, but there's a fine line between valuable knowledge and old ways, you know. And like you said, with technology coming out, with the technology that technological breakthrough that we've had in the trades, it's become a lot easier to work in the trades. One of the things I find that's been put in place to cover the gap is the apprenticeship programs. Most companies are starting apprenticeship programs that sometimes eliminate the need for you to go to school right away. And then you can start up an apprenticeship and they can see your work, they can assess your work ethics and decide to send you to school for the school portions of your trade. That I know has helped a lot of people who don't have the resources financially to access education, trades education. They get, as long as they have the mechanical aptitude, or they start the apprenticeship traditionally. I think it's called a traditional apprenticeship. They start the apprenticeship traditionally, and with their success in that, they get sent to school. And that way we can cover a little bit of the gap. Also, with incentives from the government for youths, you know, to pick on the trades. And I think forums like this go a long way to educate people and show people and show people that there's great testimonies from being in the trades. There's actually opportunities that you can thrive with. Because I know the biggest thing, I could speak for myself, the biggest thing is, how do I afford the education? And now when I'm done the education, how much of a debt do I have that I got to cover? But being in the trades, like Anthony mentioned earlier, it's actually almost like a fast track. I mean, considering taking a 2-year program in the trades and right away you're hopping into an apprenticeship that could eventually develop to be your long-term career. So I think that's another way that we've been, I say we because I'm part of a huge community of tradesmen, both from management to the worker on the floor. We are taking those steps to cover the gap and deficit that we have for tradespeople. And also, I noticed that another way that we've been closing the gap is including women who are interested in the trades, to take on trades. As long as the interest is there and the mechanical aptitude not so much is there, I think a person can pick on a trade and thrive in a short period of time.
Wonderful. Thank you so much once again, gentlemen. And Bayo, for the next question, I'll start with you, okay? Right, so could you highlight, actually, just going back, could you highlight some of the innovative technologies and advancements that are transforming the trades, and how can newcomers benefit from these changes?
I'm sorry, I'm going to pull you back a second. I think the next question is, what specific trades or specialties within the industry are currently in high demand and projected to grow in the coming years?
The reason I skipped that question was, well, I didn't skip, I just moved ahead because there was technology mentioned and how, it's making trades better, right? So just with the flow of it, I decided to jump in that one and then just work it back. That's okay.
Okay, could you highlight some?
Yes.
So, one of them, I happen to work in the mining industry. So one of them is there's technological breakthrough in adopting battery operated equipment, especially on the ground. That's one innovation I think has been in the works for a good number of years right now. And I'll tell you the reason why I think that's a good innovation. Number one, due to emissions. I mean, obviously, before the battery operated heavy duty equipment came into play, it's always been powered by diesel, and you can only imagine the amount of emissions that the diesel generates, not just on surface but on the ground, which I think could be a huge safety issue when it comes to ventilation and quality of air. So I think with the technological advancement of battery being in the play, or more electrically driven equipment, I think that will help sustain or transform the trades in a better way. Also, when it comes to rigging and hoisting, that's a long known process in the trades or in engineering. There's been a lot of technological advancements to the style of cranes, hoists, rigging equipments like slings, shackles. I know I'm spitting out a lot of technological terms here, but bear with me. So with those innovations, I think it's helped me personally in the trades to carry out my duties as a tradesman.
Noted. Thank you, Bayo. All right, Anthony, how about you? Any innovative technological advancements that you have noticed?
Yeah, so Bayode actually mentioned a lot that are bang on. So he's in the mining space, and I'm more into residential plumbing and HVAC, commercial plumbing and HVAC, and light industrial. So a little bit different, but a lot of them interchange. So you mentioned battery tech. So what that does is actually makes our jobs easier, which makes our jobs safer. So instead of a cord running across a job site, being able to plug in your battery operated tools, now it's pretty much all we use, except for the big, heavy stuff that the battery power just isn't there. But we're almost there. Like, you see it coming. Fantastic. It makes it easier. So how this is helping the trades, if we want to talk about, Bayode mentioned it as women in the trades. And if something's extremely heavy and you have a petite person, man or woman, and now that tool that used to weigh 160 pounds is down to 70, right? So that helps with the improvements, and also the safety aspect of what's coming out. There's equipment now where you can strap on a strap, and it's a mini crane over your head, and it holds big drills that guys used to struggle with, or you need two guys. Now this thing allows you to do a two-person job with one person safer. So not only making it cheaper for the customer, but if we're having a trade shortage, if we can do more with less, it allows us to somewhat help offset that. And then the other tech that I see entering that makes it easier for trades is the back office stuff. So typically what you see is a lot, like with plumbing specifically, I'll talk about my field. You see a lot of 1 or 2 or 3 person companies, and it's because the barriers to entry are relatively low. If you have a license, a van, and some tools, you can start a plumbing company. Now, with that being said, that sometimes is daunting to a new person wanting to get off the ground. He's like, oh, I'm a plumber and I don't know how to run a company. But now we have tech like, QuickBooks Online, which will automatically follow up on your invoices, or scheduling technology, paperless time cards, GPS tracking. Where was I this day? Oh, I can't remember. How much am I billing? Like little things like that can help make it easier for the trades. Because if you have more people running their own businesses or thinking, I want to be an entrepreneur, but I don't know how to do it, and I really like working with my hands, or I want to be a carpenter, well, then it's less daunting for them to want to get in the field if they know they have some back office support. So the tech is flying. And I think what's happening is people are just seeing the need and seeing the demand in trades, so that the tech is to follow, right? So the investment goes where the demand is, and the demand's in the trades right now. So we're seeing a lot of big leaps and bounds, not just in tools, not just in safety, but also even on the back office stuff that makes, an electrician want to rip out his hair, right? So it's an improvement and definitely well welcomed.
I really do appreciate you mentioned that backstrap. I was actually surfing the inner world, and I noticed the video of that stuck with me real good, because I know the challenges that we've gone, that me personally being in the trades, I've been through with heavy hand tools. I seen that, I'm like, what, this is interesting. I didn't know that we could have a backstrap with the rig and hoist on it now these days. So that helps a lot. And back to your point about the business side of things, those are really useful technology that could save you a lot of paperwork time, because if you can spend more time handling a tool to make sure you're providing solution for your clientele base, then you don't have to worry about the back end office work that's been taken care of maybe by AI, they call it these days. I don't know. But yeah, that helps out a lot. There's been a lot of technological advancement that I think in the next few years will help the tradesmen who are looking to be entrepreneurs or who are looking to succeed in their field of work.
Wonderful. Thank you, gentlemen. Again, and just touching on demand, Anthony, right? Just going back to the question I skipped. What specific trades or specialties within the industry are currently in high demand and are projected to grow in the coming years?
So I can speak to what I know, and what I know is everybody poops. So typically, what I see is plumbing being something that I get calls every day that I say no to, whether it's a little old lady that has a flood, or whether it's a large company looking to build a 100-unit apartment building, or in Sudbury, you're looking into more like fourplexes or 10, or sometimes, senior homes, whatever it is, commercial jobs. So Toronto companies come up, down south companies come up here, and they go, what is going on? Why won't nobody close my job? And I say, because nobody has time to do it. No one has time to do the job, which is why we don't close the tender. And they're blown away. They're blown away. We're doing a job right now where the customer's from down south, and he's like, what? He's like, how come you're the only person that quoted plumbing, and how come I had to beg you for it? And I'm like, I wouldn't have closed it if you wouldn't have begged, and I'm the only person to close it because no one else has time, and I don't even know how I'm going to make it work. So plumbing, obviously, I see, but something that's not quite in our wheelhouse, but will be soon, is electrical. So electrical, I see being something that is booming, because, well, we're talking battery electric vehicles. We're talking getting off of fossil fuels onto being zero emissions. So we do this in-house, they're called heat pumps or ductless splits, which are air conditioners and heating that doesn't run off natural gas, runs off electricity. But in order to do that, sometimes you need to upgrade your panel. Sometimes you got to run heavy duty wiring, something that, HVAC guys aren't doing. You need an electrician to do that. So I see electrical also as definitely being a field that is going to see the same boom that, well, we're seeing it in gas too. Guys are getting out of gas, and the trades in an entirety is super important, but also growing because Canada's growing and aging. And the surprise is, hey, guess what? We were always really important. You're just noticing now. But yeah, I would say if I were to have to pick the top two trades that I would invest my time in either growing or learning, would be plumbing, HVAC, and electrical, just because that's what I see firsthand, and I see how many calls come through, and I see how many customers need those services that we just can't do.
That point. Bayo, how about you?
I totally agree with Anthony. We had a huge deficit for trades. In a broader view, from plumbers to electricians to millwrights to mechanics, the world is advancing, the world is evolving, the world is growing. And like he mentioned, the world population, I think we got way more seniors than we got young men or youths. I will speak for Canada because we're in Canada right now. Anyway, the Canada population is aging, and we're not stopped. Canada is growing at the same time, from infrastructures to utilities, and tradespeople who know how to handle equipment and hand tools and power tools are needed for maintenance, for repairs, for design, for new installations, for everything from the real estate industry to the far spectrum of the food industry, you name it. Tradespeople are needed no matter what. In my opinion, I chose the millwright trade because of my mechanical dexterity and aptitude. And that has served me well because I could apply to be a plumber and start an apprenticeship because I already have that background. I could apply I could apply and go take on an electrical trade and go through an apprenticeship program, and that would still work for me, because the skills that you accumulate as a tradesman, as a tradesperson, it's interchangeable in no matter the industry you find yourself, as long as you're willing to spend the time to learn and get the experience that's required to succeed in it. So in a broader view, I think all trades across the board, from carpenters to plumbers to mechanics to electricians, they're in high demand. It just depends on your interest and your choice that you want to venture at.
All trades are in high demand, and it all depends on your interests. Wonderful, wonderful. All right. Now, I'm going to just jump around because I'm just picking on just where the conversation is going, and it just segues better. So the next question I have for you is, for someone who is considering a career in the trade, what are the key skills and qualities that employers value most in potential candidates?
You got to show up.
Oh. Preach.
You got to show up. That's the biggest issue. If you don't show up, you probably won't succeed in the trades. And not just to show up, you got to be an early bird, and you got to be ready to work long hours, especially if you're just starting off. These are the things that I picked up because I started from the cradle. I started from part of my language, from the worst jobs there is, so you got to show up. And not just showing up, you got to take it an extra notch and say, okay, and apply yourself and be like, hey, I'm here. What do you need me to do? How do you expect me to do this? How can I make it safe? What are the tools you have available for me to do this? How do you want me to proceed with this? What career growth is involved with this? You have to apply yourself. You have to be resourceful. But I think the biggest one is showing up. Half the battle is if you show up, guaranteed, I think you would succeed in the trades. So punctuality and being available, it's very important. I think that transfers to every other career, but most importantly, in the trades, you have to be able to show up and show up early. My days, for example, start at 5:30. So that gives you an example.
Took the words out of my mouth. The first thing I was going to say was show up. I'm not even joking. But you nailed it on the head. So I think some of the misconceptions too of the trades are, oh, you can just be really big and strong and dumb and do things. Like, the trades aren't that anymore. They never really were. Well, I guess I can't speak to 40 years ago, but what they are now is you need to be able to use technology appropriately. Can you log in on the app and coordinate the job and reflect the information from the job to your supervisor of follow-up steps for material and equipment? So can you be tech savvy? So that's one of the things. I don't need you to be to be Mark Zuckerberg, but I need you to be able to actively and productively use a cell phone or a tablet or a program that I train you on. A valid driver's license. And I know it sounds basic, but I get a lot of applications with young guys that want to come in here and, oh, sorry, I don't have my license. I just never applied. I didn't consider it was important. Well, no, it's important. If you're an apprentice and you are trying to come up the ranks and you're with a journeyman on a job site and he needs to take you to the supplier to buy something and he can't just send you, that's a huge waste of time. He wants to be able to send you and continue working. So be able to use tech, valid driver's license, and an eagerness and willingness to learn. I find a lot of the stuff we hear is, oh, you know, I'm trying to find the appropriate way to say it, but like, oh, with plumbers, poop rolls downhill and paydays every second Friday. I hear it all the time. But I'm like, if it was that easy, why don't you do it? You know, so people come to the trades thinking, oh, I was terrible in school. I never studied and I'll be fine. And they come here and they have great work ethic and they work hard, but they're not trying to further their education. Then they go to their first round of school and they fail. And they're like, oh, what happened? I'm like, no, there's an education piece here. You need to understand fixture units and flow rates and a bunch of other stuff that goes over your head when you think about the role itself. So, but to the original point of Bayode regarding who and what's most important, start with showing up. Just show up early, willing and eager to work. So let's start there, and everything else, I'll train you. You might not be good on a bunch of stuff. I'll train you how to be a tech. I'll train you how to do these things, but you got to be here for it.
Absolutely. I mean, you can't go wrong with showing up with the right attitude to get a task done and to learn while you're at it. That's the biggest thing. As far as training goes, I mean, just like what Anthony said, training is available, and training is available to who it is that is willing to take it, because it's one portion of having training available to you. There's another portion of you being willing and eager to take on the training, because it will be valuable to your success through the trades.
Speaking of training, where can people access this training exactly?
So training could be job specific. And also there's a lot of resources online, not that they are necessarily true or 100% accurate. But there are a good resource is the Ministry of Trades. I'm not sure if it's still going on, but the Ministry of Trades website has a lot of resource to educate you on the process, or to educate you on what training is required for a certain trade. But some of them, most of the training that I've accumulated over the years are a job specific, and it could be as easy as an equipment training of like how to drive a forklift. If you don't need to trade, I don't think it's necessary for you to get a training. So it could be job specific, and also, like I mentioned, the Ministry of Trades website has a lot of resources for that.
Excellent, thank you, Bayo. Anthony, do you have anything to add to what Bayode said?
Yeah, so there's also local opportunities. So I don't want to repeat what he said, and he's right. Bayode's right about those avenues. And there's also internal local things like where we are right now, right? What we're doing right now. This is an opportunity to learn from two different people in different, areas of the trades with different life experiences that you could be asking questions to or referring to, that want to see the trade succeed here, that would be gladly answer email, phone call, text message, whatever. There's also local things like the Chamber of Commerce, who is actually hosting a chamber use session relating to the trades, talking about Pronto, responding to procurement requests, Pronto being the new city's way to pull building permits, which is something that I do on a daily basis. How do I do that? That's confusing. That's difficult. I don't know how. Wow, I really wish there was a training session coming up where I could learn how to do that. Well, actually there is. So plug yourself into the things like the Chamber of Commerce. And speaking of that, or like No Beep, like you can plug yourself into these communities, that want to help you, that want to help see you grow. And speaking of that Chamber U session coming up on December 12th, it's actually sponsored by the city. So the city of Sudbury said, yeah, people need to know this stuff. that are pulling permits and procurement, we're actually going to pay for it and make it free. So now it's actually free for anyone that wants to join and learn. So plugging yourself into your community and getting tied in is key to learning, because you get to talk to people that are into it. So it's Sudbury is a great city for that, because we're not this huge metropolitan where you're never gonna see the mayor, for example. But in Sudbury, you're gonna see him at events, you know. So it's an awesome opportunity to get out there and just socialize, talk to people, network. 100%.
And I totally agree with that. Networking is by far a good resource to get information, especially from the veterans or people who are actively in the trades as well.
Noted. Thank you kindly, gentlemen. The next question I have for you two is, for someone who is considering a career in the trades, actually, hold on. That's me repeating a question. Let's do this one. What advice would you give to a young person who may not initially consider a career in the trades, but they are looking for stable, well-paying work?
If you're looking for stable work and you're not considering the trades right now, then you're missing the bus, because it's the trades right now are the definition of stable work. They're the definition of, do you want to work an 8 to 5? I got it. Do you want to work overtime? I got it. Do you want to be a plumber with a gas ticket and go to school to be an electrician too? I will facilitate all three of those things. If it's worth investing in you, yeah, I got it. Right. So in terms of a young person coming up and not currently looking at the trades, first do some internal searching, right? Don't come here, waste 2 years of your life and realize, oh, this isn't for me, right? Do some internal searching, see if you like it. Maybe do a co-op, an internship, a summer job where the employer actually gets a piece back from the government because they're investing time in you and you may not be, interested. Do those things, or even just sit down and talk, invite another plumber, another electrician, another millwright out to a quick lunch. What does your day-to-day look like? Ooh, I don't really like that. That sounds too much for me. Oh my God, that's actually exactly what I'm looking for. Right. So ask questions, and to Bayode's point, all online, like whether it's accurate or not, you can watch YouTube videos and there's other information videos of what a day in the life of a millwright is, and it will show you what it is, and you'll be able to work through it and see if it's for you. But it's in terms of the stable workload, trust me, you're good till retirement right now, right? So we got you, so come on over, just come on over, you're covered.
I can thanks a lot, Anthony, for mentioning those good points. I could totally agree with you. I could mention a list of things that could prepare you as a young chap looking to go into the trades. Most importantly, if your curiosity gravitates towards tinkering with stuff, working with your hands, you might want to consider it. But if you don't have interest in working with your hands, I mean, you could develop interest, no doubt. You can do research, like Anthony mentioned. You can research this trade, so and get resources to educate yourself on what your interests are. But if you do not have interest in the trades, it's not for you, 100%. Secondly, when I got into the trades, I realized that having a tough skin is very, very important. And what I mean by that is you have to have the heart for working in the trades. You got to love what you're doing. You got to love that you can touch a piece of equipment that was broken down and all of a sudden it starts running. And there's a huge reward in that. So you have to have a heart for it. It's super, super important for you to have a heart for it. And then you have to be resourceful. Have some of the skills that I picked up, I had to hone on my own, because when you're working in the trades, it's super fast paced, where you might not have the opportunity to ask the questions that you require. But at the end of your day, if you're resourceful enough to do a little bit of research, pick up a manual, Google the name of the company, the manufacturer of the equipment that you're working on, or just look for methods that could make your work easier for you. Being resourceful is super important. And I think with those few points that I mentioned, you'll be able to pick on a trade. And like I said earlier, showing up is super important. I used to think I loved my sleep. but now I say slip is overrated. Not that it is, but just because of my experience through the trades, I know the importance of being able to be an early riser and showing up for the work. There's a reward in it, 100%. If not for the company you're working for, but for your personal mental, there's a reward in it.
Wonderful, wonderful. Thank you again, gentlemen. Next question I have for you is, can you discuss the role of mentorship and apprenticeship programs in helping individuals gain valuable experience and build successful careers in the trades?
I could start with that.
Go ahead, Bayo.
Because I had a rough experience, not necessarily a rough experience, but a rough start of my apprenticeship, and it was more being really green. They call it green in the trades. I was green when I started in the trades. Of course, I had a mechanical engineering background. I worked briefly as a welder, but I was still green when it comes to like tearing down an equipment, or being able to think spontaneously to arrive at a solution to any malfunction of an equipment. I had a really good mentor. I would say a lead hand. We call it lead hand at that time. I had a really good lead hand that pushed me. What I mean by pushing me was like, he gave me the opportunity to develop myself. And how he did that was his own way of being a mentor. So the role of mentorship is really important because he helps you find yourself in that pocket and say, okay, well, this is my mentor. This is who he is. This is how he mentors. How do I apply myself as a mentee to get valuable information for them? The role a mentor plays in the life of a tradesperson, it helps you build confidence in your workmanship. It helps you pick up a lot of no shortcuts. There's no shortcuts. There's no shortcuts important in the trades, but it helps you pick up the methodology of how you address your task as a tradesman, as a tradesperson. It helps you pick up more skills, and I could go on and on, but just to keep it brief, the role of a mentor to a tradesperson goes a long way to determine how he's going to evolve into a journey person. A journey person means a certified tradesperson in the future. So if you have a mentor that does not promote you to show up on time, or does not show you valuable examples for you to succeed, it might affect you down the road. But if you have a mentor that shows you what is necessary for you to succeed, then you're well on your way to be a successful tradesperson.
Excellent. Anthony, how about you? What are your thoughts on this?
I think Bayode hit it on the head, because he mentioned, well, actually, I think it was actually before we started recording, but we spoke about the senior technicians leaving and retiring and aging and exiting the workforce, and the new apprentices coming up. And Bayode mentioned his gap. Even when he first started, his journeyman was 20 years older than him, and that shows there's too much of a window there, right? And that window is just becoming wider, and the people are leaving. So the ability to be mentored from a journeyman or a journey person as a green technician, meaning fresh, new, is essential to ensuring that when that technician that was an apprentice and now he's a licensed plumber and he's at your house, they know what they're doing. You could learn a lot from a textbook. You can learn a lot from a YouTube video. But where you really, really going to learn is by doing, especially in the trades. So having that journey person, having that mentor guide you through the process of getting licensed, and even after you're licensed, there's guys that are 30 years licensed and guys that are 1 year licensed. They're both licensed plumbers or licensed welders or fully licensed HVAC technicians. There's a very different skill set between them, and still being able to pick up the phone and call that 30-year experienced guy as a 10-year licensed tech, there's so much value there, so much value. And going back to the technology, FaceTime now has changed the game when it comes to wow, everyone's spread so thin. I don't have my journey person with me. I'm stuck on this issue. What do? Oh, FaceTime them. Hey, I'm looking at boiler XYZ, problem ABC. What do I do? Walk them through them step by step with the FaceTime phone call. So sometimes having that journey person beside you isn't, well, A, isn't financially feasible, and B, isn't realistic because there's too much work and we got to keep up. But being able to have that quick phone call because they're still around, still working, is clutch for situations, right? Emergency situations, whatever the case is. So it can't be overstated that having solid experienced technicians in your company training the young ones coming up is the only way you're ever going to continue to grow your company. But not just that, be able to service the demand that the industry has put on us as a millwright, as an electrician, as a plumber, as an HVAC, as a carpenter. The demand is incredible and the pressure is heavy. And without those senior guys guiding the young ones coming through, we just wouldn't be able to keep up.
Noted. Thanks again.
And sorry, I just wanted to
Go
mention
ahead.
that Anthony kind of broke that down super nice. Because the mentors, they're more like the guides. But just because by chance of their experience through their lifetime or through their trades, and that guidance is super important. Not just because you pick up the skills, but for you to work safe. They know they could see from a mile away when you're not working safe. And being in the trades, the most important thing is working safe and for you to go home at the end of the day. So as a new millwright or a new electrician or a new plumber that's just getting on the job, oh yeah, I passed my school and I'm well on my way into an apprenticeship. There's value in the mentors that work with you because they can help you work safe as well. And also they help you create that safe culture through your journey until you become a mentor as well. Because not long after I was a mentee, I became a mentor. I had my own apprentice. And from my experience with my mentor, I was able to develop a strategy to help my own mentee succeed, my own apprentice succeed. So it's a cycle it's a cycle that needs to be proper. There shouldn't be any bridge in that cycle because the tradesman or the mentor today, the mentee today can be the mentor tomorrow, mentoring another mentee, and for the trades to keep going, that relationship has to be sustained. Speaking of mentors and mentees, I still had a conversation with my journeyman when I started my apprenticeship yesterday. We became good friends because he did not only learn about myself or teach me how to be a successful tradesperson, he also learned something from me. So it's a mutually beneficial relationship from a mentor to a mentee, especially in the trades. Your mentor relies on you to be successful for them, and you rely on your mentor to be successful for them, right?
Excellent. Thanks, Bio. Thanks, Anthony. I have two final questions. And the penultimate one is, how does the trades foster diversity and inclusion, and what opportunities exist for underrepresented groups such as women and minorities? Bio, you can go ahead.
Oh, like I mentioned earlier, that's a very good question. It's a very diverse landscape. I'm not sure about all the other industries, but in the industries that I've worked at, I happen to have a lady as an apprentice before I moved on in my career. So the trades, like I mentioned earlier, is not solely for a particular gender or a particular race or a particular religion or anything. The trades is for everybody. And that's why they changed it from a tradesman to a tradesperson. And that's why they changed it from a journey person to from a journeyman to a journey person. Because the trade, in my own experience, I've seen women, I've seen people of color, I've seen a lot of diversity in the industry. And I think it's beneficial for the trades community, because there's something to be learned from everybody, right? And the opportunities are equal. I don't think there's any discrimination in my experience so far. As long as you're able to show up and you're able to apply yourself, pick on the trade, um, the opportunities are to everybody.
Wonderful. Thank you, Bayo. Anthony.
Yeah, 100% agree, because the trades are for anybody, and it's been proven and advertised. You see constant advertisements about women in trades and how they're actually the fastest growing applicant and entry into trades. You see advertisements about the Northern Ontario pilot program, immigration pilot program, where we're trying to get people from other countries here to do these jobs. You know, whether it's a doctor, lawyer, or plumber, or electrician, we're trying to get people just to show up, right? To coin the phrase, because it's in such high demand and it is so important that there's the diversity is understood to be a necessity. It's no longer an option, because you can't hire from within only anymore, because there's just not enough. It's just not enough. So guess what? You have to hire from without. You take I look at every resume as it's just an individual, right? Can this person, I'm looking, does this person show eagerness? Does this person have experience? Do I see an opportunity where they're going to be consistent in terms of arrival times and whatnot? Not once is it ever crossing my mind, nor should anyone else's, about whether their creed is or whatever the case is, because at the end of the day, we just need them. We just need them. So you know what? Just show up at this point. The running joke we have here is show up with a heartbeat and you're hired. And what I learned to do is I hire quickly, and if I find out it's not going to work, I let them go quickly. But our retention rate's extremely high, and our culture is very good. And it's always a mutual release. You know what? Are you sure you want to be here? Because I don't think you do, because of this. You know what, Anthony? I don't want to say anything, but this isn't for me. Perfect. Okay, you know, that's perfect. Let me know how it goes. I'll write you a reference letter if you were good, no problem. And sometimes they're not good, right? But it's always that understanding of, you know, show up and we'll give you a shot, and we could teach anybody the field, but I can't teach you how to show up. I can't teach you how to be punctual. I can't teach you how to be, you know, polite. I can't teach you manners. That's something that you need to have been brought up with. So just show up and have a heartbeat and let's go.
I'm sorry, but I wanted to add to that. Just the saying in the trades, you can't fix stupid.
We try to fix everything, but that's the one thing
But
that
that's one
eludes
thing you
us.
can't
Yeah,
fix.
yeah.
It's a going joke in the trades. But I 100% agree with you, Anthony. And I'm a living proof of diversity in the trades. And I've had a smooth career so far, with a lot of opportunities that get thrown at me by the day. So like Anthony said, it's not a thing of it's no longer a choice or an option. It's a necessity. And in my opinion, why not? If you're qualified and you have the skills and you can show up, can't overemphasize that. You can show up, you're hired.
Yeah.
Excellent. Just show up and you're hired. Just show up and you're hired. Yeah. Final question for you too. And Bayo, you can start. In your experience, what are the most common misconceptions about the trades, and how can we debunk these myths to attract more young people to the field?
It's super dirty. That's what I hear a lot. It's not economically friendly. That's true. But most importantly, those are things that can be fixed. You don't have control over your work environment, but there's safety measures that are put in place for you to thrive in that environment. In my industry, safety is number one, and I would imagine in every other industry, because if you find yourself in a place where the air quality is not right, they provide you with a respirator. And if you even look at the Occupational Health and Safety Act, which is a good resource for anyone who's thinking of going into the trades, it covers a lot of information on safety, especially for working environment, for work, what kind of equipment, for the conditions of work. that's a good tool for anybody considering the trades. And also, like I mentioned, economically friendly. Technology is getting a lot better. A 50-pound air hoist is no longer a 50-pound air hoist. It's now a 20-pound battery operated 20-pound battery operated hoist, or an impact. For example, like Anthony mentioned earlier, an impact is just a screw gun or a drill. It's gone from a corded, which poses trip hazards just because of the extension cables that you got to run if you got to work 50 feet away from where your power source is. It eliminates the slip and trip hazards that comes with the job. So the misconception of, yeah, it's dirty and it's not economically friendly, those are things that can be managed in the industry.
Wonderful. Anthony?
Yeah, so you pretty much nailed it, but I think the two biggest misconceptions are, well, three are dirty, unsafe, low pay. So you nailed a bunch of them. So regarding the dirty part, you're right. You can't choose your job site, but job sites, there are standards associated with each site and expectations, and the tools are provided in order for you to operate in that job site safely, effectively, and without risking your health. In terms of low pay, that's out to lunch, right? Where the money goes, where the demand is. The demand is in the trades. And the difference between I'll use plumbing. I use plumbing a lot because it's my most experienced field, but the difference between plumbing and a doctor is that you immediately start working tomorrow with me, and then you go to school 3 times for 2-month intervals. Whereas a doctor is in school for many, many years, accumulates mountains of debt, and then starts to practice. Where with us, you're starting right out the gate. Day one, square one, let's go. You're with a journeyman. Let's see what you got. And then I've had guys get licensed within 6 years and are making over $40 an hour and still in their 20s, right? I got senior guys making more. So that it's a pretty good salary for a guy, is 26 years old, 27 years old that started right out of high school. So the opportunity is there, the money is there, and then the safety. So safety is a number one priority and should be for all companies. And with that in mind, there are policies and procedures in place to keep you safe. So whether that's with the tools we have, the safety equipment we use, or the job site prep that we do, it's in our nature because we are dealing with heavy pieces of equipment, sharp objects, multiple people on a job site, multiple trades. Sometimes we walk into a commercial job site, we got the electricians there, the carpenters there, the roofers there, and the plumbers are there. So you just need to understand that we know what we're doing and we do our best to make sure that you're safe. And it's top of mind. So debunked, my friend. Get the flow of staff coming. You start tomorrow if you got a heartbeat.
I should come work for you. The pay sounds tempting.
Hired.
I should have started working for you when I started my apprenticeship. I wasn't getting no pay like that.
A lot of my senior guys say that now too.
But the misconception is that it's low pay. But the truth is, as an apprentice, you got to start at the skill that matches your skill set, right?
Mm-hmm.
Correct me if I'm wrong, Anthony. You're a businessman and you manage a lot of tradespeople. But as a tradesman, you cannot have the misconception of wages. You need to understand that when you start your apprenticeship or when you start out in the trades as being green, that means being new. You start at a pay grade that matches your skill set and you slowly develop from there. At least that was my experience. I wasn't earning no good wage until I became a journey person, and good wage could be relative as well. It depends on the industry that you were in, so like he said, you could be 22 years old and you could be earning as much as $30 to $40 an hour. Depends on your skill set. So when you decide to take on the trades, just always remember that I got to start from somewhere, like it is in the business world, like it is in any company or organization. You start from somewhere and you slowly develop to where you want to be or to the industry standard rates.
Excellent. Gentlemen, thank you so much for your time and your wisdom. And to everyone else that showed up today, again, thank you. And to future viewers, I hope this was informative, and that if you are on the fence about the trades, perhaps this changes your mind, because as we've heard from these two incredible tradespeople, the trades is an excellent opportunity, right? And you would not be selling yourself short or putting yourself at a disadvantage if you entered into the trades. So on that note, thank you for once again. Do take care. And again, this recording obviously will be available on our YouTube channel and also on our website. So gentlemen, once again, thank you so much for your time. You two are the best. Thank you. Take care.
Thank you so much, Charles.
everybody.
One more thing I wanted to mention:
Yes.
if there's anybody who's got questions, they're free to ask questions. You can always reach out to Charles and throw your questions at him, and we'll be more than happy to answer your question.
Absolutely.
Thank you for
Thank
that
you,
closing
everybody.
bio.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Bye.
Anthony.
Thank you.
I think we're gonna have to sit down and have a good chit chat sometime.
I like
coming up
it.
soon.
I'm in. You're hired. We talked all the time.
All righty
There
then.
you go.
You
There you go.
take
You take care,
care.
guys.
All right.
Bye.
Bye-bye.